And JP, Kathy, and the crew. All right, we've got the mental health moment, as we always do on Tuesdays at 8:34. We're excited, of course, to have Steve Dunn and Patty Giola.
Oh, you always like to say her name all fancy.
I do. I like to say it that way.
Morning, John and Kathy.
Good morning.
Morning, guys.
So we've got the Morning Foundation in.
Let's try the Morgan Foundation.
Yes, we have the Morgan Foundation,
Rewind.
not the Morning Foundation. We got the Morgan Foundation in studio. We've also got something for Kelly. And then very excited about the guest to my left. If you go to our Facebook page at JP, Kathy, and the crew, you can catch us live on video, and you can also participate, and you can pick up any of the links that we may put out there as well. And so we encourage you to get on our Facebook page. We also continue the conversation through the commercials on our Facebook page, because what we're talking about, of course, encompasses easily hours and hours worth of material, but we only have such a short period of time on radio. We also encourage you to call in if you have any questions at 214-810-8255.
That's 214-810-TALK.
Because that's what the mental health moment is here for. It's to help you, the crew and the listeners out there who may be struggling with something in their family or with themselves that may need a resource or some help. And so please feel free to call in and connect with us as well. So who do we have to my left? I'm going to let you guys introduce him. I mean, I love this guy.
Thank you.
And I got a book.
I know, we got signed books.
I'm going to start
This is so
crying here
fancy.
soon.
We have, I believe, a very important guest, perhaps one of the most important guests in terms of the impact it could have on the eating disorder industry. My good friend, Don Blackwell. Don has been an attorney for over 30 years, and it seems like he's been involved in the eating disorder community just as long. So good morning, Don.
Good morning. Really glad to be here.
We're so happy to have you here. Thank you. We're a fan of yours, so that works both ways.
Can you tell us a little bit about how and why you first got involved in the eating disorder community?
Yeah, not unlike a lot of families who are active in the community. Our daughter battled an eating disorder a number of years ago, and my wife Cindy and I were really quite uneducated about what the world of eating disorders involved. So that was sort of the precipitating event of my involvement. And once Ashley recovered from her eating disorder, I decided that it was critically important to share some of the lessons that we had learned along the way. So,
and what are some of the things you did to help share that message?
So my initial interest in the eating disorder world centered around dads. One of the things that struck me during that period of time was the fact that so few dads seem to be involved in both the treatment and the recovery process. And from my perspective, it seemed that dads were critically important to that process. So beginning really in 2012, I was asked by the National Eating Disorders Association to give a presentation at their national conference in St. Petersburg to kind of share the lessons that I'd learned as a father with other fathers in the industry, and was sort of discouraged when I arrived at a sold-out conference of about 620 participants to find out that I was the only dad there.
Wait, out of 620 participants, you were the only dad? Did I hear that right?
You did hear that right, and it was kind of shocking to me. So there I was to give a presentation to dads on what I had learned about navigating the sort of uncharted waters of eating disorders, and the room was filled with moms and daughters. So that was really the starting point for me.
Okay, and over the course of the past 8 years or so, you were actively involved. Then it almost seemed like you stepped back a little bit. Why is that? Yeah,
I did. I spent the better part of probably 6 or 7 years traveling around the country, speaking at national and regional eating disorder conferences. I participated in a number of national webinars and WebExes. I did a significant amount of publishing in the eating disorder arena, and really got a little bit discouraged at what I perceived to be the lack of progress that I was able to make in that arena. So I decided to step away and do things on a sort of more private level.
And then, Don, something happened this past year that motivated you to almost say, you know, enough is enough. You're mad as HE, et cetera, and you're not going to take it anymore. So you had this idea to try to arrange some type of summit. Is that correct?
I did. You know, I did, as I mentioned a moment ago, I did a lot of behind the scenes work. I spent several years, my wife and I started a eating disorder support group in Miami, which is where we spent most of our time for loved ones of people who were suffering from eating disorders. And I did a lot of one-on-one support work with people around the country, strangers really for the most part, who were struggling or I felt needed some additional support or encouragement. But I kept my finger sort of in the national arena a little bit, and what I saw just concerned me. I felt like there was sort of a significant amount of dysfunction, if you will, a need for unification, really more than anything else. So I decided to reach out to a number of people who I was privileged to get to know in the course of my work in the national eating disorder arena, and sort of floated this idea of getting everyone together in one room and trying to work towards a consensus on some critical issues.
Don, what would be one specific thing when you say that you started seeing things that alarmed you? What was one thing that really jumped out?
Well, I'm not. Alarm may be a little bit strong a word. I think what's happening is that you've got a group of extraordinarily talented people all around the country who are doing the best that they can individually to try and make a difference without there being sort of an overall game plan to attack what is a sort of a tsunami of issues that are swirling around life-threatening diseases.
So what that helped you to do then, Don, is to put together this outreach invitation, which you have called the Legacy of Hope. Can you tell us about that? And I know that's coming up this weekend here in Dallas, so go for it.
It is coming up this weekend. We've got 24 of probably the most, some of the most widely respected professionals and thought leaders in the eating disorder industry coming to Dallas this weekend. It's a very humbling event, really, for me personally, because they're coming at my invitation. As I like to say to people, it's certainly not because a lawyer invited them to come to Dallas. I think that they're coming to Dallas because, on some level, most of them agree that the status quo, where the way that we approach eating disorders is concerned, is not acceptable, and change needs to happen.
Don, you did a lot of work putting together the structure and the agenda around what you want to discuss and work with these folks. What are the goals that you'd like to have when you get through with this, and where are we going to go with the results that you have created? Yeah,
that's a great question. And what I'm trying to do here more than anything else is to arrive at a game plan for attacking what I view as being some sort of core or fundamental issues that are applicable to all who are suffering from eating disorders, regardless of the type of eating disorders that they may be struggling with. So we're going to be focusing our attention on 5 general areas. The first is going to be advocacy. The second is going to be standards of care. The third is going to be accessibility to care. We're going to be talking about research and research funding, and we're going to be talking about early identification and early intervention in an effort to start moving towards a world where we have preventative measures in place.
Don, you're having research professionals and medical doctors and heads of eating disorder organizations and heads of other mental illness groups that are flying in to North Texas in the winter at their own expense. And you've heard the expression, it's like trying to herd cats. How can you possibly get these people together on these 5 groups? What is the messaging you're going to try to do here?
Yeah, I don't know that they're, I sort of feel like a caretaker. It's extremely humbling that this is happening. It's extraordinary. And the fact that 98% of the people that I reached out to said yes to this almost by return email, and the fact that of those 98%, 96% happen to have the same weekend available in January to travel to Dallas, or that they'd be willing to do so, really speaks volumes, I think, for the quality and the character of the people who are coming here in Dallas. One of the participants said to me the other day that we're really not coming for a brainstorming session, we're coming for a heart-storming session. And I just thought that was beautifully put and indicative of the quality of people who are coming, and that's what gives me hope.
Now, Don, this type of thing had been attempted before, is that correct?
Yep. There's at least one instance that I'm aware of, a small handful of years ago, where something similar to this was attempted. I think this time around, things are a little bit different. I think the structure that I hope to bring to this is a little bit different, and we are also the beneficiaries of knowing that in late November, a similar cross-disciplinary group in Canada put together and published a report setting forth a national strategy for dealing with eating disorders in Canada over the next 10 years that is remarkably similar to the vision I have for this gathering.
Don, when I go out to functions such as this, summits or whatever people are going to call them, everybody gets real excited in the moment. We put a lot of effort and energy into the conversation, but all of us are professionals. We have lives, we have families. The challenge, I think, might be what's going to happen afterwards, and how do we keep people engaged and committed to doing the things they said they are going to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I sort of think I think that I've taken on, or I am taking on, a significant part of that responsibility. There's no question that sort of a focal leadership group, leadership is required to sort of shepherd this forward. A friend of mine said to me not too long ago, okay, Mr. Chihuahua, you finally caught the Rolls Royce. Now what are you going to do? And I don't think that's, I think that analogy is not too far off. But, my intent, this is not a one-off for me. This is much bigger than that. I appreciate more than most the gravity of what I've undertaken here. And I really am not going to rest until I see this through to the result that I hope for.
Don, is it possible that because your agenda is personal and looking towards the patient as opposed to an ego from somebody who wants to be published or wants to be recognized for their authority, that this could make a difference as well?
I hope that it will. I hope the fact that I'm coming at this with a simple agenda, which is consensus and hope and healing, that maximizes our chances for success.
Don, where did the name itself come from?
I'm not entirely sure where the name came from, other than, my thought process was we're going to bring together the people who have been working in this industry for decades, and we're going to sort of take full advantage of the wisdom that they've gained over those years.
All right, we're going to take that wisdom to a break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Great info. Hey, I'm trying to get to Legacy of Hope. Do y'all have a Facebook page?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, well then that's why I can't get to it.
They have a book. Read your book. Just kidding.
No, I'm just trying to see if we could get information.
You got to grab the mics, and you're going to have to put them in front of your face. I'm getting yelled at. Just tremendously. I'm being shamed. I need counseling. I need group counseling. Yes, I'm triggered. I'm getting ready to climb under the table into a fetal position because I'm getting hammered over here. I'm being micromanaged. I'm being microaggressed. I'm being macroaggressed.
there have been some questions along the lines of, is there a political agenda here, or is there a conservative political agenda here? I wonder if you could address that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some rumors circulating in the eating disorder community. You know, I really can offer the highest degree of assurances that there is no agenda of any kind around this event, other than an agenda that's based on building consensus and unity and trying to marshal all of these resources and point them in the same direction.
Yeah, Don, in fact, the issue of weight stigma seems to be a very polarizing issue in the community today. Is that going to be discussed this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, there's no question about that. I think that weight stigma and the problems surrounding it, not only for those in the eating disorder community, but in the population as a whole, has gained a significant amount of prominence, as it rightfully should, over the last, several months, last handful of years. And I know that, having heard from a number of the participants who are coming, that is a important discussion point, and I'm certain that it will be discussed in the small group sessions.
And I'd be anxious to hear. Can somebody report back to us, or to let us know what's kind of discussed in some of those on a future JP, Kathy, and the Crew show? Because the conversations you're talking about that are going to happen with all of these people, that's a God thing that you've got 98%. I mean, it just is. I hear that. That's an amazing.
There's no question about it.
That's absolutely miraculous right there. But this is something like we had the doctor on last week who talked about, weight issues and things of that nature. I think this is such an important conversation to continue, because I think we have so many people who are just put eating disorders into that one category. Well, it's anorexia or binging and purging. Well, but no, it's not.
Right. Much broader than that.
And I think
so. I'd love to hear follow-up. I don't know how we can for this weekend. I'd love to hear follow-up.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things we'll go into when we come back on here in about.
Because I think I know the Crew would love to hear more about that.
And in terms of weight stigma, I think that's going to be one of the very important things as to why JP on Friday night will get to meet all these folks, and he's just you epitomize succeeding despite the stigma that was impressed against you your whole life.
Yeah.
So we're just really thrilled that you'll be there on Friday night, John.
Am I speaking?
No.
You sure I can give a speech?
10 seconds.
I can give a speech.
And we're back on air.
Thank you so much.
Well, so much for the beginning, the opening, being the host. I am
done. Take it away.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check out now and head home. I can go take a shower and work out. And wait a minute. I can't. Good morning. Welcome back to 1160 AM KBDT News Talk Sports. We are JP, Kathy, and the Crew, and Steve.
And our friend Steve.
And Steve. And we're Steve. No, we're not. He's the Crew. He's part of the Crew. Welcome back. It is currently 8:54 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's run quickly over to your weather station and get the news or weather update from Kathy.
We have got a high of 55 today, partly cloudy. I think the sun's trying to break back through right now at 41 degrees.
All right. No new accidents to report of. Just be careful out there on the Dallas-Fort Worth. That's your SigAlert.com traffic report, brought to you by JP, Kathy, and the Crew's mental health moment. We have got Don Blackwell in with us, and a lot going on this week and coming weekend. Very exciting stuff. We've got the Morgan Foundation and something for Kelly in with us as well. Steve, take it away.
Thank you. And during the break, we talked about weight stigma and whether that will be addressed this weekend. Don, could you just reiterate what you just said during the break?
Yeah, there's no question that weight stigma is becoming an increasingly prominent issue, not only in the eating disorder field, but in the general discussion as well. And a number of people who are coming to the summit this weekend have already voiced their interest in pursuing that as part of the discussion points this weekend, and I'm confident that it will and it should be part of those discussions.
Let's talk a little bit about what we anticipate to happen after this is all over. I know that consensus is one of the important points going into it. Are you going to produce a paper? Will you visit us back here at the station and keep us up to date on what it is that you are accomplishing?
Yeah, I mean, one of the immediate goals is that not at all unlike the Canadian project. My goal is to first and foremost take the information that's gleaned from this weekend's meeting and incorporate it into a much larger report, not unlike sort of a blue chip panel or commission report on all of these issues, circulate that among the participants in a further effort to build their consensus, and then sort of broaden the net to hopefully expand that degree of consensus to other prominent players in the eating disorder community, and then use that as sort of a stepping off point to start putting this game plan into action.
So what kind of organized entities, once we get past all of the professionals, is there a group that is the authority? Is there another organization? Are we going to Congress? Are we after we get the big players, who are the organizations?
Yeah, I think the next level of participants that need to be approached are the individual clinical practitioners in these areas. There are a number of other groups. I mean, for a number of reasons, we needed to limit the size of the participation in this particular first step in the process, but there are other organizations. There certainly are a number of other individuals, some of whom I've already contacted and are very motivated about this project. So, yeah, I think that'll be the next step. The first, though, is trying to build a consensus with this group, which will be a challenge.
Yes, I do understand that. Well, as you and I have spoken about in the past, Something for Kelly is working very diligently to take information like what you're putting together and be instrumental in disseminating it wherever we can. So we will do our part, as well as I know Steve and the Morgan Foundation will do what we need to support the work that you're doing with this group.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Patty and Steve, and the work that you've done behind the scenes to not only help in the organization, but also provide support for this weekend's event.
So, Don, do you have any last words for the community as to, should they have hope? Do you really see the ability to make a difference and save lives?
Yeah, I'm incredibly optimistic about this weekend. These folks that are coming to Dallas are extraordinary people, and they are representative of academics, of the treatment community, of the industry, of parents, and I'm very hopeful that this will bear fruit.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. This is such an important weekend you have coming up. We can't thank you enough, and thank you for the copies of our book.
You're welcome.
Real quick, Don, how do people get a copy of Dear Ashley?
Yep, they can find Dear Ashley at www.dearashleythebook.com. They can also find it on Amazon, and they can find it on my blog, which is a WordPress blog.
There you have it. And if you get out there and grab this, I doubt you'll make it to page 12 without crying. So definitely a great read. All right, we'll see you. If you're on Facebook, stay tuned. More to come. We'll be right back.
Hold on. Okay,
There we go.
Now we can still talk to Facebook. So, yeah, let's finish up with some more of this conversation. This is good stuff.
What do you hope? What do you hope? What are your bullet points? What do you hope to take away? What do you hope to accomplish this weekend?
Yeah, so in the next couple of days, the participants in the upcoming summit are going to receive packets, which will provide a little bit more information regarding the structure of the event. And these are the experts. So I'm to a large extent delegating to the experts the task, if you will, of sort of defining what the goals should be in each of these areas. I want them to begin brainstorming or heartstorming around what are the strategies needed to accomplish those goals. I want them also, I'm hopeful that they will also help to identify what the obstacles are and have been to the achievement of those goals, and also to provide some guidance with respect to how best, in their opinion, to navigate our way around some of those obstacles. You know, I talked to someone the other day and sort of analogized it to the Super Bowl, the upcoming Super Bowl, because I think the analogies are appropriate. I mean, here you've got probably two of the best teams in the National Football League this year, each of which have 22 extraordinary individual players ready to line up on offense and defense. But the reality is that both of those teams are going to spend the next 2 weeks poring over film to develop a game plan to utilize the extraordinary talents of each of those individuals to hopefully win the game.
It's a great analogy.
So we've got the 22 extraordinary individuals. What's sort of lacking, at least in my humble opinion, is that game plan that we can execute.
Now, Don, on a somewhat controversial topic, because you know I never bring those up.
Okay, sorry, let me laugh.
Never.
We know that the pharmaceutical industry has been involved in other mental illnesses, particularly autism, and they have funded research in the hundreds of millions of dollars looking into autism, and as a result, we're seeing generally accepted standards of care coming out in autism. There was President Trump in September signed a $1.8 billion autism research bill. Do you envision the day where the eating disorder industry will have to embrace the pharmaceutical companies in some way?
You know,
Great
I
question.
I think, Steve, that the answer to that question, like so many others in this community, sort of depends on our ability as a community to reach consensus points that will enable folks, not only like the pharmaceutical companies, but state and federal legislators, private funding entities, to actually look out over the landscape and say, I want to support that. Here is a clearly defined mission that I can apply my resources to, knowing that my investment will be rewarded. And so I think to some extent the answer to that question is putting the cart a little bit in front of the horse. I think we first have to define the cart, and that cart has to be something that everyone, or at least the majority of folks in the eating disorder community, can rally behind it. And I just have to believe that that's doable, that with the right leadership, with the right guidance, with the right input from the right people, we can achieve that goal. I'm committed to it.
So it's solidifying the message first, to getting unification around that, and once that is done, then you can, as the foundation, then you can start to build the house on top of that.
I think absolutely. I think that's what we see when we look at other situations, autism being just one of them. I mean, the reality is that people have eating disorders, people have life-threatening diseases, all of which fall under the umbrella of eating disorders. Those people need and are deserving of care. They are in need and deserving of care that is affordable, that is reasonably accessible, that is predicated upon well-defined and evidence-based standards of care. And those are points that I think that everyone in the eating disorder community recognizes and can rally behind.
John, again, thank you so much. I do want to briefly talk about next week on the Mental Health Moment.
Okay.
We have a gentleman who's going to be coming in talking about the unique mental health issues faced by first responders.
Oh gosh,
we had
yes.
talked about this a number of times in the past. He's a former chief of police. He has a background in mental health, and I think he's going to just give us some tremendous information next week. And our hats are tipped to Acadia Healthcare for bringing him to us next week.
Well, and
That's gonna be
great,
big.
great
Big.
topic of discussion.
Absolutely.
Great topic of discussion. This guy's got such a great background.
Yes.
You know, it's almost like tapping into the principal over at Columbine High School.
Yes.
I mean, he's become so diversified with his background into being able to talk about. I mean, so this is going to be a great guest on the 28th. Don't want to miss it.
Absolutely.
Great job, Steve Dunn. Great job, Patty.
And great job, Don, today.
Oh, whatever. Jeez, don't build his head anymore.
Oh,
Only one
goodness.
room for one big head in here, Steve, and that's yours.
Well, except that.
That's
Oh,
aggressive.
okay.
Has been tapped
There's
out
lots
by
of love
him.
here, Don.
Don said if
Yeah.
I don't behave the entire time this weekend, he would have me bum rushed out the door.
I believe him.
I do too.
I believe him.
I do too.
I believe him to be a man of his word. You know, Don's got that quiet, scary voice.
Yeah, he's as I like to laughingly tell people, Don is the good twin and I'm the evil twin.
I would amen to that one. All right.
Oh, y'all are
All right.
fun.
Have a
you.
great day,
Thank you
everybody.
again,
Thank you, Don.
Love y'all. See you tomorrow. Oh, Miss Texas in studio tomorrow. Dan Taylor calling in from DC.
Oh, I'll be here.
Oh, yeah. Steve's like, I'll be
Well,
back.
come in and take my place. I've got to go to work.
Oh. Thank you so much, Dawn. That was
Yeah.
great.
You're welcome.
Great info.
Thank you, Don.
Really, yeah, it's so good to meet you in person.
Great to see you.
Mwah.
Thank you for. See ya.
Bye. See you later. Great job. Oh, and hey, we'll be praying for real success this weekend, Dawn.
Hey, I'll see you at
Absolutely.
12:30.
Okay, guys, is there a way to tell what the listening audience is for?
I can on Facebook.
Yeah, they've got a chart that they go by for
I can get you.